Thanks for joining the call. On behalf of Pakil and Karani Securities, we welcome you all to Punjab National Bank 2Q FY21 post-results conference call. We have with us today the management of Punjab National Bank, represented by Mr. S.S. Mallikarjun Rao, MD and CEO, Dr. R.K. Yadurvanshi, Executive Director, Mr. Sanjay Kumar, Executive Director, Mr. Vijay Dubey, Executive Director, Mr. A.K. Azad, Executive Director, and other senior officials. I would now request MD and CEO sir to start the call with his opening remarks on 2Q FY21 results, post which we can start the Q&A session. Over to you, sir.
Right. Thank you very much. And before I start, a small correction. Dr. R.K. Yadurvanshi has demitted his office on 8th of October. So we have three executive directors, Mr. Sanjay Kumar, Mr. Dubey, and Mr. Azad, along with me. Okay, with respect to the results declared for Punjab National Bank for the Q2, the global business of the bank stood at 17,86,670 crore with an year-on-year growth of 1.06%. Global deposits of the bank grew by 1.37% to 10,69,747 crore. Domestic CASA share improved by 253 basis points year-on-year to 44.10% in September 20. CASA deposits grew by 7.01% on year-on-year basis and to 4,59,477 crore in September 20. Savings deposits grew by 9.05. Here, what I would like to drive away the point for you all is that when we are making the comparison of year-on-year, the notional value of the summary of all the three banks in the earlier years we have taken because those banks were not merged earlier. Suppose we are comparing with the September 2019 figure, the figures of all the three banks were added and accordingly comparison has taken place to have some element of understanding for the year-on-year comparison. So global credit grew by 0.59% year-on-year to 7,16,924 crores. RAM has grown by 5.73% year-on-year, and retail credit has grown by 3.85%, of which housing loan has grown by 9.77%. Capital adequacy ratio stood at 12.84% in September 20, an improvement from 12.63% in June 2020, well above the regulatory requirement. Operating profit grew by 7.1% year-on-year to 5,675 crore. Net profit for the quarter stood at 621 crore as on September 20, as against the net profit of 308 crore sequentially in Q1 and 757 crore as on as on September 19, which is the notional total of all the three banks. Global NIM improved to 3.21% in Q2 FY21 from 2.5% in Q1 FY21 and 2.58% in Q2 FY20. Net NPS stood at 4.75% in September, improved by 64 basis points from June 20. Provision coverage ratio improved by 225 basis points to 83% as on September 20. With respect to domestic deposits increase, it is 0.88%. Domestic advances have increased by 0.52%. Domestic businesses increased by 0.73%. And agriculture advances grew by 12.39%. MSME advances grew by 1.56%. With respect to regulatory requirement of priority sector and all other things, we have achieved the targets. Related to profitability, the net interest income has grown by 29.3% to 8,393 crore in Q2 FY21. Operating profit grew by 4.9%. With respect to efficiency ratios, yield on advances has grown to 8.09%. Cost of deposits has come down to 4.48% from 5.34%. Cost to income ratio declined to 47.87% from 49.41%. Gross net NPS stood at 13.43%. And provision coverage ratio without TWO improved to 67.90%. Credit cost stood at 2.27%. These are the main highlights, and other than that, we have given a lot of disclosures in the presentation what we have published in our corporate website. You must have gone through. We have given the details related to COVID, details related to moratorium, and details related to the credit profile, asset quality. All other figures are available in the presentation. So I'll be very happy. We all team will be very happy to take your questions now onwards.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and one. First question is from the line of Rakesh Kumar from Systematic Shares. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Hi. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, Rakesh. Tell me.
Yes, sir. Just few questions. Firstly, sir, what is the collection efficiency for September and October month for entire loan book?
What did you say? Again, can you repeat? What is the?
So collection efficiency for entire loan book, how much it is for September month and October month?
So when you say collection efficiency, are you restricted to NPA or even standard?
No, so for the standard loans, whatever the demand we have billed to our borrowers, and how much we have collected out of for that demand from our borrowers in September month and October month.
Okay, it is. I need to check out the details exactly, but there has been a lot of improvement. If you look at the moratorium piece, what we had indicated to you earlier at 20%, where we have considered the people who have taken moratorium when they paid 2 installments or more. Now we have identified the moratorium at 38.2%, 38.92%, where the installments are pending for more than 3. So if you look at, there has been a very high collection which has come in retail and MSME segment. But if you are looking at a percentage in terms of the demand and recovery, I'll provide the details to you. It has been better in September, but much better in October.
Okay. And what would be the proportion of our total loan against which we have not collected anything during the moratorium time or maybe during the September month?
No, up to September, 25% of the moratorium profile, what is available to you, not a single installment is received.
Up to 25% of the loan?
Moratorium piece, what we have published to you.
Okay.
That is 38.92% we have given, 2,39,000.
Correct.
So in that 25% of the component up to 30th of September, I am indicating to you that not a single installment is received.
Okay.
That means roughly it comes to 60,000. Whereas in that 60,000 again we have received the installments. Now it has come down to 48,000.
Okay.
So it is going down. Continue. That's why I said October recovery has been much better. And the component of outstanding which would have become NPA, but for the Supreme Court judgment, is 3,400 crores. That also we have indicated in our presentation.
Got it. And so what is our own estimate on restructuring and slippage in coming quarter, in December quarter?
Slippage, we still stand by the estimate what we had given last time. Overall for the year it will be around 10,000 crores maximum.
Okay, gross slippage.
Gross slippage. If you look at currently, the slippage for the fresh slippage is for 4,384 crores is the fresh addition you must have observed at the end of September for the half year.
Right. But in the second half. Okay. But in the second half we are.
Second half I am expecting around 5,600, 5,700. So overall it will not be more than 10,000 crores as far as the slippage is concerned. Now coming to restructuring estimate, originally in the August when the circular came, we estimated at around 40,000 crores overall, including the corporate book. But surprisingly, we have not received much of a request as far as the restructuring is concerned. As on today, if you look at by September, we have done restructuring of retail and MSME together only for 42 crores. And further we have 32 crores amount value accounts are received at our end for restructuring in terms of retail and MSME. In terms of corporate, 15 accounts we have received the request amounting to 2,022 crores as on today. Now if you compare with the SMA2 figure what we have published of 19,000 crores, which comprises roughly 6,600 crores, in MSME category. So we are expecting the MSME category restructuring to happen anything between 4,000 to 6,000 crores, apart from the corporate. So overall now, we review our estimate. Originally what was there 40,000, now we estimate that it may not be more than even 20,000 crores. But the realistic figure will be known during this month and December, because 31st December is the last date for invocation.
Correct. Okay, sir. Okay. Thanks a lot, sir. I will come back again on the queue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Maru Arjania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. Hello. So my first question is on deposit on margins. So for you, margins have expanded a lot in the second quarter, and that has been the case with many other PSU banks as well. So how would you position yourself now? Would you like to enjoy excess margins, or would you like to use it to compete aggressively for more volume? Because that way you can expand market share. And how sustainable are these margins?
No, you are talking about NIM.
Yes, NIM. Yes, sir.
Right. See, if you have seen our guidance, our guidance remains at around 2.75. It will be little more than 2.75. Our NIM in September has been little exceptional at 3.21%. Now here there are 2-3 reasons. One reason is we have not identified any NPA. As a result, some of the accounts, for example, we have given in our presentation in slide number 44-45, 3,400 crores would have become NPA, wherein a interest recognition of 85 crores was there. So that is one area. Second, we have also adopted a change in our income recognition in case of recoveries, which are adjusted in NPA accounts. So this adjustment has given a little amount of increase in the NIM, but we will be definitely managing anything between 2.75 to 2.8 overall for the year. The guidance which we had given earlier at the same level, this will continue.
So the change in
other measures what we have taken are controlling the high cost deposits. 27,000 crores of high cost deposit comprising 16,000 crores deposit and 11,000 crores CDs, we have shed in the month of May and June last, the benefit of which we have accrued in this current quarter. In terms of reduction in interest paid on deposits, which you can observe in the slides presentation what we had given. So these are all the contributory reasons.
Got it, sir. But so this change in recognition in recoveries, that has contributed to how much for in margin?
It is only net profit is 271 crores, and out of which even if you remove the tax, it is 180 crores. So net profit wise there is no change, because that 180 crores we have made the provision for a prudential requirement of COVID. So net to net there is no increase in the net profit because of that adjustment, but income wise there is a difference of around 500 crores.
500?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. My other question was on restructuring. So the corporate restructuring that you're talking about, you said you've received 15 requests. So you think that will be all, or there will be more requests? And are these the corporates who are under moratorium, or they are outside of the moratorium?
The corporate, we by way of extending moratorium, we have given to everybody except NBFC. Only NBFCs on case-to-case basis we have extended. So naturally, even corporate also has been extended a moratorium, but not many accounts, very few accounts. So with respect to restructuring, we have received the requests, out of which we have finalized for 15 accounts amounting to 2022. We are anticipating some more requests to come to us, because we are in touch with other banks as well. Majority of the accounts are in consortium, so we expect the things to come up for the request. However, one important point, kindly keep it in mind. What we understand from the corporate world is that if they undertake the restructuring, their ratings will be under stress. In spite of their performance, probably the rating upgrades may not take place, or ratings may be downgraded. This is the apprehension. That is the reason why they are able to manage with the available resources at their end, and they are not coming for the restructuring in the way what we had anticipated earlier.
Okay, got it, sir. But my question was that these corporates which are coming forward to restructure, were they also corporates that enjoyed moratorium? Were they under moratorium as well?
No. I think 15 cases, probably couple of cases are, 3 cases are there where the moratorium is given to them.
Got it. And so what are these very large?
Hello?
Oh, yes, yes.
3 cases are there where moratorium is also availed by them.
Okay, sir, got it. And so what are the sectors, and are these very big accounts or small size accounts? Any color on size and sector of these accounts that are coming up for
Only one bigger account out of the entire 2022.
This is Shapurji, is it?
No. Not Shapurji.
Oh, okay. So what sector, sir?
It is in the retail sector.
Oh, okay, got it. And others are small accounts, and they will be in those.
Correct.
And they'll be in impacted sectors like hotels and all, or everywhere? Which sectors?
Smaller in the retail sector only, majority of them.
Okay, got it, sir. Okay, sir, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next participant is Jayant from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sir, actually I wanted two questions. One is on the moratorium piece. If you could break down the 2.4 lakh crore into how many have given 1, 2 and 3 EMIs. And secondly, a little bit on the disbursements and growth. How do you view that into second half, and what are the disbursement trends like in the September and October month?
Okay. See, in the entire 2,40,000 of the moratorium, the important area of our close monitoring is restricted to only 48,000 crores. Remaining are all on safer domain, because they have taken the moratorium, but they are paying the regular installments after the moratorium. That means installment starts from September onwards. So we don't have much of a concern there. 48,000, the area where we are closely monitoring, there is improvement continuously, and we are confident that we can control those category as well. There is one more piece. I think you must be aware. FITL is given in case of CC accounts. Our FITL is 3,778 crores, which we need to recover before 31st of March 2021 as per the RBI guideline. So that is also one area where we are continuously monitoring for getting the recovery, though that is no amount is due now, but we have seen many of the people coming back and paying money because they did not want interest to happen on that. Whatever FITL is created, some of the accounts have already closed down the FITL, whereby the risk on that account to become NPA is completely removed if amount is not paid by 31st of March 2021. So from our side, these are the two components where close monitoring is happening. Now coming back to credit offtake, there is a good growth which we are projecting in retail and MSME at this point of time. Already MSME has been positive year on year, more than 1.1%. Otherwise, traditionally we have seen MSME, there has been a negative growth. Retail also has grown at 3.75%, where housing has grown by 9.77%. The growth has been good so far, and we are expecting much more to come because of the festive season. With respect to corporate, what we have seen is the demand is coming for HAM projects, road infrastructure. Any new bigger investment so far we have not touched. There are only few cases which are coming. We anticipate demand to come in terms of cement industry, steel industry, and then pharmaceutical industry, and then healthcare industry. Though we are getting sporadically few accounts, we are yet to see. Now coming to line of credit, where we have given involving various government agencies, it is around 50 to 60,000 crores, which we are confident that the amounts will be disbursed in the next few days or next few months. That is the current status as far as the credit is concerned.
Yes, sir, but on the asset quality, one little add. So you had mentioned that 2.4 lakh crore is the amount where you have received less than 3 EMIs, right? I mean, up to 3 EMIs have not paid.
No. See, what we have done is, earlier, 2 EMIs, if somebody has paid, we consider them as the people who have not availed the moratorium. However, finally, when we have extended a moratorium, those who have not paid anything, but even though they paid up to 4 or 5 installments, still we have extended the moratorium. That is the reason why the book appears to be 2,40,000 crores. Out of that, more than 3 installments pending. Earlier it was 60,000 crores. Now it has come down to 48,000 crores. So this 48,000 crores is a component where from December onwards, if nothing is paid, it may become NPA because 3 months installments for September, October and November will be satisfied if somebody has paid 3 and he has to pay further installments. So like that we have carved out the figure where we need to move ahead for monitoring. Could I be clear?
Yes, sir. Just to summarize what you said, so out of this 48,000 crore, you roughly expect 20 to go into restructuring and another 5.5 to slip, and then the rest to be recovered.
Absolutely right. Yeah, even 20, it may not be 20, but I am anticipating 20. But 5.5 is the expected vertical slip down. This 48 includes that 3,400. What we have indicated.
Yeah, so then what would be our credit cost guidance for next year? I mean, would these accounts then possess, give us credit cost spillover?
Credit cost will remain at 2.5 because roughly the reason is now the aging provision is getting eased out. Aging provision is not going to be there. So it will be only fresh NPA provisioning. Even currently also when we have shown credit cost at 2.27, the 3,400 crores related provisioning of around 500 and odd amount, if you consider that as a provision in the NPA, the credit cost would have been around 2.4, 2.5. So 2.5 average credit cost will continue even up to March 2021.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That helps.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Vaibhav Devekar from Edelweiss Financial Service. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vaibhav.
Good afternoon, sir. Vaibhav Gurao. Sir, my other income... Hello. Yes, sir. Sir, my other income is less by 1,200 crore in this quarter.
So in other income, if you look at even treasury has gone down and even the third fee-based income also has gone down because of the pandemic. We are expecting the improvement to come. Further, the processing charges and everything we have levied to the customers because of the pandemic. These are the main reasons. Otherwise, regularly we levy processing fee and other commissions which we have not done during the moratorium. Otherwise, what would happen? These charges would have created a problem if it is not recovered to make the accounts as NP. So we will be levying from now this Q3 onwards.
Okay. Thank you.
Vaibhav, do you have any follow-up question?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Rohit Jain from Tara Capital Partners. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I am actually a bit confused by the moratorium, discussion that just happened. Out of the 2.4 lakh in moratorium, you said 48,000 have not paid a single installment, or have they paid 3 installments till now?
No, 48,000 is up to 3 installments.
And so the remaining 2 lakh crores, what have they paid? I mean, even if they have not paid a single installment, you have classified that as moratorium, is it?
No. Listen to me. Those who have not paid 6 installments, so I'll give more clarity. Those who have not paid 6 installments, they have all been given moratorium. So 2,40,000 crores roughly includes those who have paid installments up to 5. Now in that piece, 60,000 is the one where not a single installment has been paid as on 30th of September. Now, as of now, at this point of time, the amount where installments are due are paid only up to 3 or 48,000 crores.
So can you tell me what is the amount or what is the total value of people who have not paid even a single installment till now?
Out of 48, it is a subset of 48,000 crores. It will be around 28,000 crores out of 48. Now, who has not paid anything?
So you said that you expect only 20,000 to come up for restructuring and the rest to be recovered. So my question is, if about 30,000 people have not paid a single installment in the last 7 or 8 months, what gives you the confidence that these are not, let's say, the highest stressed account with almost a certainty of them turning into NPA? Because it's been almost 7 months now.
The only point is out of that amount, when I say probably I need to correct myself when I'm indicating to you, the amount as on 30th of September, nothing is paid, but it has to become NPA is only 3,400 crores. Okay. And now, when they have not paid any installment in the account, as of 31st August, the demand is still zero. The demand...
No, I understand.
Hello?
No, I understand, sir. I understand that rule-wise, there's no need to classify them as NPA. But my question is that if a consumer has not been able to pay a single installment in the last 7 months, then what gives you the confidence that they will eventually honor that commitment?
There are two dimensions. One is that people have taken moratorium. Second dimension is based on their business coming back to normalcy, they are paying the money. So we are getting recovery already from September onwards, and we are following up each account wise. So when we are seeing the recovery, we find that the amounts will come in these cases as well, because the window is available up to almost December, because 3 months. Even if somebody has not paid anything from 1st of September, I calculate September, October and November end. By December, the account has to become NPA. But we already started getting the recovery. The quantum was very high earlier, which has come down drastically. So this is coming down with the follow-up. That is the kind of an estimate what we are having.
Okay. And you said that for FY21 till March 2021, you expect credit cost of 2.5%. What would be the credit cost expectation for FY22 based on the current trends?
It would be very difficult to estimate at this point of time, because the credit cost, when I am estimating 2.5 for FY21, the provision required to be made for restructuring also, I am including as if it is an NPA provisioning. That is the reason why I continue to estimate 2.5 for credit cost during year 20 and 21. Regarding 21-22, only we will be able to assess probably after Q3. Because we need to look at what is the piece we are getting for restructuring and how these moratorium accounts are getting the recoveries. So these two factors will be defining that.
Fair enough. And last question, what would be your exposure to, let's say, the highest stress sectors like tourism, school bus operators and restaurants and all of that?
939 crores we have indicated to you. In the presentation it is given. What we have mentioned is additionally, last time it was not there, this time additionally we have shown that figure, it is 950 crores.
Fair enough. Okay, thanks. That would be it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next question is from the line of Jay Mundra. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. So based on this, you have a significant market share now. I mean, after merger, the bank is a reasonably large size bank. What would be your expectation for the system level slippages for this year? I mean, if you were to make a broad range also, what would that number be, sir, roughly?
See, RBI has estimated anything between 2 to 4% when they had come out with the financial stability report in the month of June, July, depending upon the pandemic, if you remember properly.
Right.
Now our gross NPA has gone down. It has come down to 13.43 at this point of time. We are looking at that we should be controlling below 14% at the gross level and below 4% at the net level.
Right. Okay. No, so actually wanted to check on the system level, sir. I mean, so RBI said 4%, but that is the net number because they are saying gross to gross.
1 to 1.25% it could be in the system, because the major difference of estimate comes from the perspective of restructuring. We thought that many people will come for restructuring, not many of them are coming, and they are paying the installment. And some of them have taken moratorium, it is sufficient for them to take care of the requirements. So as a result, the system NPA increase, even though RBI estimated anything between 2 to 4%, it could be around 1 to 1.25%.
Okay, right.
That is at the gross level.
Right, sir.
Yes.
Okay. And second, on this 15 accounts where we have got restructuring request, what would be their overall exposure to banking industry? I mean, because some of the banks that they have reported results, they have given the number, but I mean, you are the last one, so I mean, you are the latest. So that 15 accounts roughly would amount to how much at systemic debt?
See, out of 15 accounts, except one account, remaining all accounts are smaller accounts. I don't expect anything to be bigger amount. Only that one account might have around 25 to 30,000 crores.
Right. Apart from that, all should be in 3-digit kind of a number.
Yeah, correct. 3-digit only, not more than that.
So is there any bottleneck that?
No, all banking system. 11 are sole banking accounts out of 15. 4 are only. Out of 15 accounts, what we have approved for the restructuring, 11 are sole banking accounts where the amounts are very small, not very high. There are only 4 accounts involving consortium. Out of that, 1 account is a bigger account.
Right. And these 3 accounts, sir, if you can tell the sector, at least these 3 consortium accounts. Trading.
Retail trading, 2 accounts, and 1 is manufacturing.
Okay. So far, there is not much request anyway, right? So do you suspect any bottlenecks in terms of going through Kamath committee report, or they are just, is there any pipeline as such?
See, there are 2 ways of looking at. One, I'll tell you the other way around. Kamath committee recommendations have been very good because the ratios also they are specified as per the industry is concerned. And customers, that is, industries or corporates are also, if they undertake the restructuring, their rating may be impacted. And even if they do well in future because of the restructuring being there for at least a minimum period of 2 years, their rating will not be upgraded. So these are the concerns what we are looking at. The other way around is, initially when the recommendation came, the kind of discussion what was happening is that whether the 2 years moratorium is sufficient initially in the restructuring. For an account to be viable, you need to get RP4 rating. For RP4 rating to come, sustainable debt has to be identified. Now with 2 years moratorium, will it be sufficient? These are the main points of discussion. Probably we may have to wait for some more time to understand the behavior from the corporates. As on today, even I have checked with other banks as well, we are not seeing much of a request coming to the banks for the request of restructuring.
Right. Okay, sir. And coming back to, sir, our disclosures on moratorium, because it is slightly different from other banks. So what other banks are saying that we do not keep track of moratorium period that is over. What we are concerned with is if they are paying in September or October or no. Right? So if I were to look at your bank, what would be the amount which either they were in erstwhile moratorium or no, but which have failed to make September dues or October dues?
See, that is what I have indicated to you. We have transparently given you the sheet. I don't know by giving these details whether we have created more confusion among the analysts. It was with an intention of showing you the transparency, the disclosure. All the accounts where we have identified and given the moratorium, we have marked in our system and we have culled out the data. And the data we have presented before you involving all the categories of agriculture, retail, MSME and corporate and others. Now, all these accounts, out of the entire 2,39,000, the only amount that would have become NPA as of 30th of September is 3,400 crores, which has not become NPA, but for this, Supreme Court judgment. So that 3,400 we have provision equivalent to 15%. So that 3,530 is over. Now remaining amount, the due of that 3,400 is those accounts which were SMA2 as on 29th of February and money has not been received. If you remember, the SMA2 as on February 29th for PNB was around 6,000 crores, 6,900 crores. Out of that, this is the only component where no money is received, which otherwise would have become NPA. Now, remaining all accounts, the demand is not there up to 31st of August. So, whatever demand is there, demand is created from September onwards. Now, September onwards, the demand is created and they have to pay the money. Now, in that we have bifurcated in such a way that those who have paid installments only up to 3 installments, that amount as on September was around roughly 60,000 crores. Above 60,000 crores, they were carrying installments paid for more than 3. So there is no threat for them to become NPA in the next 4 to 5 months' time. So this 60,000 has become 48,000 as on today, and further recoveries are in progress. These accounts also will not become NPA immediately, even if Supreme Court judgment is lifted tomorrow or day after tomorrow. The window is available for another 3 months, September, October and November and December. Because if one installment is received, further December, it will not become NPA. So we are monitoring very closely to see that the component will not become NPA. Now, out of this composition only, some may be restructured, which I am expecting up to roughly 20,000 crores as on today. Earlier estimate was 40,000, now it is 20,000. And account slipping, roughly around 5,000 crores, I am expecting slippage to happen up to March 21. So whatever figures will come, 20,000 or 5,000 will come from this 48,000 as on today, but that is also expected to be reduced with the recoveries which are forthcoming. Could I be clear on that now?
Yes. So just to make it very clear, out of this 2,40,000 crore, 2 lakh crore have, or 1,92,000 crore, let's say, which is 240 minus 48,000.
Correct.
You already have received 3 EMI. So even if, let us say, if you were not to pay,
yes,
you anyway have the 3 months standard track record, right? Because they have already paid where the divide was not there.
Correct.
Right. And hopefully in the 3 months they will become standard and they will resume, even if
let us say they have payments. Already they have resumed. Now we can call them standard only because there is no demand up to 31st of August.
Right. Okay. Understood, sir. And last thing, sir, if you have this ECL GS disbursement, how much have we made? And what in your expectation, what is the use? I mean, are the people repaying the earlier debt, or they are funding loss, or they are using that to sort of restart the business? Any qualitative thing?
90 to 95% is only for restarting the business. Restarting business includes handling the fixed cost expenses. That is what we have sanctioned is 11,000 crores. To be exact, 10,957 crores in emergency line of credit extended to MSMEs. So 90 to 95%, it is only for restarting of the business by maintaining payments to the fixed costs. So this piece, since it is given, those category of advances, we are not expecting them to have any trouble in terms of restructuring requirements.
Right. All right, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Maru Adjania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
So thank you. I had a few follow-up questions.
Yeah, please.
First is that, my first question is that you mentioned that at a sector level, the earlier estimates were 2 to 4% of GNPAs. Now it will be 1%, 1.25% incremental. So it's lower because collections have improved better than expected, or it's lower because there will be some amount of restructuring also, or in general we were cautious while making the first assessment?
It is a combination of both. In June, in the month of July, when RBI has come out with the financial stability report, at that time the visibility related to the economy, how fast it will come back, was not available. Whereas today, if you see, rural economy has come back very fast. Semi-urban economy is looking very nice. Now only urban economy has to come back, which is dependent on various linkages in the supply chain, logistics and other areas. So, and festive season is also creating good amount of an impact for the economy to come back. So these are the reasons why the estimate of gross NPA to go higher between 2 to 4% can be reworked, though there is no official estimate from RBI, neither from any other source. But it is only my understanding, based on the discussions what we undertake among the various bank MDs, that the gross could be higher, anything between 1 to 0.25%. So one reason is the coming back of economy. Second, the efficiency in terms of the collection. When I say efficiency, it is more related to the intent to pay rather than the bank's efficiency. The reason is people have seen 2 moratoriums, 3 months and 3 months, and they have realized whatever money they held back, anticipating unforeseen circumstances, now they are clear about the unlocking period and economy coming back, so people started paying. The collection we have seen in a better manner from September onwards. Those people who had already money in terms of personal loans and other things, they started paying during moratorium itself. However, those who held back, they started paying from September onwards. So these are the two reasons. One is collections more than anticipated level to be there, and second, economy coming back better than what was anticipated in the month of July.
Right, so but to these NPAs, we also have to include the restructuring number, right? Because some of them which could potentially slip and become can be restructured.
See, if you look at the restructuring eligibility itself, other than MSME, only SMA-0 was eligible. SMA-0 being eligible, it is a running unit. So we don't expect the slippage out of the restructured profile if we undertake the restructuring properly. You may face technical difficulty only in those industries where probably deep restructuring is required, going beyond 2 years for the moratorium. We don't see much of an impact in those areas. If at all the issues come up, they may come in hospitality industry, they may come in tourism industry. As far as PNB is concerned, our outstanding is only 969 crores as on today.
Got it, sir. So, and just coming back on the ECLGS, so earlier when the government launched the scheme, the impression was that it would be used to pay up existing loans. From what you said, that's not the case, is it?
No, it was not for the purpose of existing loan to be paid. It was for the purpose of managing their business for the fixed cost. More importantly, it was fixed expenditure they have to manage. During the moratorium, businesses were shut down. So that was the main purpose. That is why government has given guarantee to those accounts. So as on 29th of February, all the outstandings up to 25 crores initially it was given. Later on it was extended to 50 crores. In fact, a lot of people have taken the sanction initially and they have not taken the money. They told that we will take the money only when it is required, when our units start. The disbursement have started more effectively only after September. That is after 1st of September. Once the moratorium has ended and they started seeing the economy coming back, the disbursements have started. Though we have sanctioned 11,000 crores, initially the disbursement was only 60-65%, whereas today now it is around 96-97%.
And one of the bankers also said there are a lot of...
Hello?
Marwat Jania, can you hear us?
No, there was a disconnect from her.
We move to the next participant. Next question is from the line of Deepak Kumar, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Hello.
Yeah, please.
Sir, I would just want to know that if we calculate the book value from the reserves and surplus in the balance sheet, it comes to around 91 rupees. But in the investor presentation, it is 54 rupees. Why such a big difference, sir?
So we need to check it out. I am also surprised it is 54 rupees only as per our calculation.
In balance sheet, like in reserves and surplus, if
we
you add
we reduce the DTA, deferred tax assets जो रहते हैं ना वो कम करके हम calculate करते हैं.
वो कहाँ check करना सर वो DTA?
It is available in the balance sheet. Other assets is part of other assets. Probably you may not be knowing exactly. So it is part of other assets. In the DTA, that amount we reduce and calculate.
For all the banks?
Yeah,
if
correct.
I check other bank balance sheet also has to
other bank balance
reduce
sheet also
the
it will
DTA.
be like that only.
So it will be in the assets?
Yeah, correct. Other assets.
Other assets? Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Abhijit S. from Kotak Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. This is Abhijit from Kotak Security.
Yeah, please.
Sir, first question is, could you explain the reasons for high recoveries during the quarter? Any big accounts?
It is not very high recovery. It is only 3,200.
Yeah. No, the jump that we've seen over the previous quarter. Anything specific for this quarter that has come?
No, there is NCLT related around 180 crores or something we received. See, if you look at overall, 1 minute. The recovery, if you look at cash recovery, has been 2,281 crores in September. That is Q2. Q1 it was 1,069. 2,281 comprises of roughly around 217 crores where we have received recovery in NCLT cases. And all are smaller accounts. Actually, these even in NPA also, in smaller accounts through the follow-up, the recovery came. These are all very small accounts.
And what is the expectation for second half?
Second half expectation is two dimensions. One is in NCLT, we are expecting a reduction of around 8,000 crores in NPA through the settlement of Bhushan Power and other accounts. Bhushan Power itself, we are having an outstanding of 6,000 crores, out of which we are expecting cash recovery of 3,800. So, if you look at cash recovery from NCLT, our expectation is roughly 4,800 crores, whereas reduction will be 8,000 crores. Other than NCLT, we are expecting overall in the year 8,000 crores, against which we already received a recovery of 3,200 crores. So another 4,800 crores we are expecting recovery during the H2. So if you look at overall 4,800 from other than NCLT and 4,800 from NCLT cash recovery, together 9,600. Reduction will be much higher than that.
Understood. So second question, sorry if you have to repeat this. Could you explain the difference in the morat definition between June and September?
Which one? Moratorium.
Yeah, the definition of moratorium.
No, it is not the definition. What we have shown is when we were indicating the figures regarding the people who have taken moratorium, we considered all those people who have paid 2 installments or more. Those people, we have considered them as people who have taken the moratorium. When at the time of crystallizing, as on 31st of August, we have permitted a moratorium to everyone who have paid only up to 5 installments. Can I repeat again? 2 installments paid, people were not considered as people who have taken moratorium when we had given earlier figures. That is because that is the intent of the people to pay the money during the moratorium period. But when the moratorium ended, as on 31st of August, we have extended a moratorium since we have given opt-in category. That means somebody who doesn't want moratorium has to tell that he doesn't want moratorium. So everybody we have extended. So while extending, this has been extended to all the borrowers who have paid up to 5 installments. If somebody had paid 6, naturally no moratorium is given. So up to 5 installment, the composition comes to 2,59,000. That means 39,000 crores, roughly around 2,40,000 crores. So these 2,00,000 crores, within that, if you bifurcate again, those who have paid up to only 3 installments, that category is 48,000 crores as on today.
Yeah.
Could I be clear? So that means remaining all amount, they paid more than 3 installments.
Sure. All right. And sir, on the MSMEs, you've indicated about 5,000 to 6,000 crores of restructuring. Just trying to understand qualitatively, why have these customers not used the ECLGS scheme or any other scheme? And secondly, there was anyways a scheme that was running before COVID. So why have these customers not been able to utilize the existing schemes?
No, there are 2 reasons. ECL also we have given for 11,000 crores as I have indicated to you. If you see the SMA2 category published by us, 19,137 crores, out of which MSME comprises 6,668. So that is our estimate that out of that probably around 4,000 to 6,000 crores could go into restructuring. But for them also, the first benefit will be given in terms of lending under the government guaranteed scheme. Already we covered many of them. We are reaching out to the people. Some of them have not come. This SMA2 does not mean the unit is not running or they are not having money. It is only because of the moratorium the unit was not functioning. That is the reason why the account has come into SMA2 category. Now, as far as the eligibility for MSME lending for this government lending is concerned, there is a difference between the account to be eligible under restructuring and for emergency credit. For restructuring in MSME, even if it is SMA2, they are eligible. For other than MSME, for restructuring only SMA0. Coming back to additional lending to be given, they are to be given only for standard and SMA0. So there is a difference in the eligibility. That is the reason why the gap is coming.
Sure. No, I was trying to understand because the SMA2 in the MSME has gone up over the last 1 year. So
correct, 6,668.
Not SMA2 few quarters back, right?
Yeah, that is the reason why that finer gap between being eligible for additional lending and eligible for restructuring, that is the gap roughly around 3,000 to 4,000 crores I am anticipating.
Understood. Okay, this is helpful. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next participant is Amit Jain from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for taking my question. Sir, is it fair to assume that this 48,000 crore which you believe is currently under stress, a large part would be, say, MSME or corporate?
No, corporate is also there. MSME and corporate, yeah, you can assume because retail is less.
So retail portion would be very less, right?
Very less, correct.
And sir, in terms of COVID provisioning, sir, overall contingency provision, could you tell us what is the outstanding number?
See, one is that we have bifurcated 3,400 crores, which otherwise would have become NPA, but for the Supreme Court judgment. In that, we have de-recognized the interest of 85 crores and also provided 15%, which comprises around 580 crores. That is one component. Then additionally, we are holding 595 crores for the amount of 7,000 crores, which was SMA2 as on 29th February. Later on, it has come down to 6,900 crores. Originally, it was 7,900. It was 6,900. Though there is an overlap between the two, but we hold additional provision to the extent of 350 crores as on today.
And
which is not marked to any account.
And I believe, sir, apart from it, you would have some standard asset and other contingency provision as well, right?
Yeah, correct. That is what I am saying. It is around 400 which is visible there. See, all the provision, what I told 580 is only standard provision. It is not NPA provision.
Okay.
So, if you look at standard provision overall, 595 plus 580. That is 1175 is the amount which we are holding under standard category provision. Only ad hoc provision for COVID-19.
So, this entire 1175 would be for COVID, right?
Yeah, correct. It is for the COVID related.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Ankit Bansal, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
हेलो सर.
या मिस्टर अंकित.
हाँ जी सर, मुझे एक ये सवाल पूछना है सर, आपका ये इस FY21 के लिए ग्रॉस एनपीए और नेट एनपीए के लिए क्या टारगेट रहेगा? और एक क्वेश्चन और सर, आप अपने आप को कहाँ प्लेस देखते हैं प्राइवेट बैंक के कंपटीशन में?
नहीं, पहले प्रश्न तो समझ में आई कि ग्रॉस एनपीए हमारी एस्टिमेट है 14 के दरमियान रहेगा, मार्च 21 तक, और नेट एनपीए भी 5 के नीचे रखने की कोशिश करेंगे हम.
अच्छा. So second question is, I am asking PNB अपने आप को कहाँ देखता है प्राइवेट प्लेयर की कंपटीशन में, लाइक HDFC, एक्सिस, इनके कंपैरिजन में?
देखिए, पीएनबी का आप अगर बैलेंस शीट साइज को और बैंक की साइज को देखेंगे तो ये सेकंड लार्जेस्ट है पब्लिक सेक्टर स्पेस में. 1,05,000 की वर्कफोर्स है, 10,930 ब्रांचेस की पूरी विस्तार है देश भर में. अब बात आती है उनके तुलने में कहाँ देखेंगे. देखिए, बिजनेस मॉडल प्राइवेट बैंकिंग का और पीएनबी का कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट है. एचडीएफसी के साथ अगर तुलना में लेते हैं, उनका जो बिजनेस मॉडल है, इट इज डिफरेंट. दे कैन बी चूजी इन टर्म्स ऑफ द सेक्टर्स. It doesn't mean we are not choosy, but it means that our commitment to the infrastructure is much higher in terms of the public sector. अगर आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर लैंडिंग में एनर्जी सेक्टर देखिए, रोड सेक्टर देखिए, स्टील सेक्टर देखिए, जो मेजर 3 सेक्टर्स है, इनमें फंडिंग एचडीएफसी बैंक का या और कोई प्राइवेट बैंक का बहुत ही कम है, पब्लिक सेक्टर का ही ज्यादा है. भविष्य में भी रोड सेगमेंट में हम जहां पोटेंशियल डिमांड नजर आती है, वहां भी पार्टिसिपेशन पब्लिक सेक्टर की तरफ से ही ज्यादा रहेंगे. इसीलिए बिजनेस मॉडल के तौर पर मैं अपने आप को एचडीएफसी बैंक या किसी प्राइवेट बैंक से कंपेयर करना नहीं चाहेंगे. हमारी मकसद यह है कि पीएनबी का जो if you look at, there are 2 kinds of legacies. One legacy is the brand image got impacted because of biggest fraud what has happened. उससे उभर के हमें आगे निकलनी है। सेकंड, बैलेंस शीट में जो इम्पैक्ट हुई है उस फ्रॉड की वजह से, और कुछ फ्रॉड्स बाद में भी जो डिक्लेयर हुआ है, केवल पीएनबी का संबंधित नहीं है, बैंकिंग इंडस्ट्री का, पीएनबी का संबंधित एक ही फ्रॉड था जो बड़ा फ्रॉड था। तो इससे उभर के आने के लिए बैलेंस शीट को भी हमें प्रॉपरली हैंडल करनी है, ये हमारी मकसद है। हमें कॉन्फिडेंस है कि 21 मार्च तक बैलेंस शीट को अच्छी तरह रूप में लाएंगे, इंटरनल स्ट्रेंथ बढ़ाएंगे, प्रोविजन कवरेज रेशियो इंक्रीज करेंगे। करंटली 83% के ऊपर है, ये 85 के ऊपर जाएगा। और कोविड का इम्पैक्ट भी हम अगर नॉर्मलाइज करते हैं तो 2022-23 विल बी ए स्प्रिंग बोर्ड फॉर इंक्रीजिंग द बिजनेस फॉर पंजाब नेशनल बैंक।
सर एक क्वेश्चन और सर, पर आपने जो आंसर दिया मुझे वो सेटिस्फाइड है, पर इस मॉडल से सर आपका इन्वेस्टर इफेक्ट हो रहा है, सर आप उसके बारे में क्या कहना चाहेंगे, उसके बारे में आप क्या सोचेंगे?
इन्वेस्टर के लिए देखिए, इन्वेस्टर के लिए अभी हमारे पास गवर्नमेंट की होल्डिंग है 85.5%, और इसके अलावा अगर बाकी 14.5 को आप बाइफरकेट करके टुकड़ा।
हेलो हेलो
Ladies and gentlemen,
hello
hello, sir, please stay connected. The line for the management is dropped.
Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We have the line for the management connected back to the call. So you may go ahead with the question.
Hello.
Who was the other gentleman who was questioning?
Ankit.
Ankit. Yeah, Ankit. Can I continue?
Yes sir.
हाँ, what I was telling is, अगर आप अपने कैपिटल की स्ट्रक्चर देखते हैं पीएनबी का 85.5% गवर्नमेंट होल्डिंग है, और बाकी 14.5 में अगर आप बाइफरकेट करके देखेंगे तो जो क्रिटिकल मास अवेलेबल फॉर दी रिटेलर्स टू ट्रेड रेगुलरली ये बहुत ही कम है। तो जब तक वो ट्रेडेबल लॉट ज्यादा नहीं होगा, हमारी परफॉर्मेंस के आधार पर मार्केट रेट बढ़ेगा नहीं, और मार्केट में जब तरफ सेल एंड परचेज तो ये बढ़ेगा नहीं। इसलिए हमारी मकसद क्या होगा, मार्केट में आके क्यूआईपी के माध्यम से या फिर फॉलो एंड पब्लिक ऑफर के माध्यम से या फिर राइट्स इश्यू तो हो ही नहीं सकते क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट का होल्डिंग 85.5 है। तो ये इधर एफपीओ और क्यूआईपी, इफ यू आर एबल टू ब्रिंग एटलीस्ट 20% to the extent retail segment are other than government, then you will find more difference in terms of the trading of the share price and increase in the share price based on the performance. अब आजकल देखते हैं कोई भी अगर न्यूज आ जाती है नेगेटिव न्यूज इम्पैक्टिंग द पब्लिक सेक्टर स्पेस, रेट तो उतर जाती है, चढ़ने के लिए बहुत मुश्किल पड़ता है, because the kind of trading or the kind of volume which is required, it is not happening. That is the major reason. It is not exactly reflecting the intrinsic value of the bank. Not only PNB, but majority of the public sector banks, except maybe State Bank of India, because it is a different animal. It has already taken public shareholding to a larger extent, or maybe one or two banks. This is the position. So unless we come out of this vicious cycle, the investors will not have a better visibility related to the trading of the share of Punjab National Bank. That is my understanding.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Prabal Gandhi from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible.
Sir, my question is on the capital raise. So our CET1 is low at 9.5%. And given the restructuring pipeline of 20,000 crore and the expected slippages, are we planning to raise any capital in the near future?
देखिए इस साल के लिए हमने ऑलरेडी बोर्ड का अप्रूवल लिया है. वी हैव ऑलरेडी टेकन द बोर्ड अप्रूवल फॉर 14,000 crores. Out of 14,000 crores, Tier 2 is 4,000 crores, AT1 bonds are 3,000 crores, and QIP is 7,000 crores. As against 4,000 crores of Tier 2 bonds, we have risen 1,000 crores in the month of July, 1,500 crores in the month of October. Now another 1,500 crores in Tier 2 bonds and 81 bonds of 3,000 crores. We are confident of November from the market. So that will conclude 7,000 crores together, Tier 81 and Tier 2. Another 7,000 crores equity, we have already initiated the process. We are planning to come to the market somewhere in the second or third week of December. provided everything goes well, because we are finalizing the BRLMs to be selected in the next couple of days. So with this, our capital estimate will be anything between 12.5 to 13 in a worst case scenario after considering 20,000 restructuring and 10,000 slippage. If it is going to be lesser than that, we may even touch more than 13% in the CRAR position as at the end of March 2021.
Okay. And so in this capital raise of 7,000 crore in the second week of December, is the government also going to participate in that?
No, it is not. QIP government will not participate.
So basically it will be diluted. Okay.
Yeah, correct. It will reduce the component. See, ideally speaking, I don't want government to be at 85.5%. Only because the market appetite we have to see for raising the QIP. Otherwise, it doesn't give me any comfort if I go on taking the money from Government of India, where the stake will increase and there won't be any retail stake available for trading in the market.
Right. Understood, sir. So that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Rohit Jain from Tara Capital Partners. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. I had just one follow-up question. You said that the COVID provision that you have, contingency provision, is about 1,100 crores, which is, I think, around 10 to 20 bips of your loan book. Now, I want to understand when some of the other private sector banks who generally have had a better history in terms of NPA, they are holding COVID provisions of anywhere between 1 to 1.5%. Why is it that we have provision only, so less as a contingency measure for COVID? Thank you.
No, it is not less. It is calculated mathematically because the entire SMA2 book as on 29th of February, where some of the accounts have slipped already. Suppose, see, we have given in our presentation, there is a 429 crore which has already become NPA out of that composition. Now what remains as on today is 6,921. So against that 10% provision we have kept aside. Now again additionally we have made 400 crores and another 180 crores provisioning. So overall provisioning is 1175. In our understanding, it is sufficient to take care of the requirements, and if any restructuring goes, even if 20,000 crores is restructured, what you require is only 2,000 crores provisioning. Every quarter we are able to make provision of anything between 3,800 crores to 4,000 crores based on our operating income. So we are confident of handling this in Q3 and Q4 more effectively with the provisioning, what we have done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir, do you have any follow-up question?
No, that would be it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I will now hand the conference over to Mr. Bhavik Shah for closing remarks.
On behalf of Batlivala & Karani Securities, we thank Punjab National Bank management for giving us the opportunity to hold the call. Thank you everyone and have a good day.
Yeah. Thank you very much. How many people were there in the con call? Any idea? Hello?
So 131 for this.
131. So not everybody has asked the question.
So mostly people have asked the questions.
Okay.